Ah, ay, 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 ay.
You know what? I never thought my first ever gaming tech video is going to be about me telling you not to buy RTX 50 graphics card. But here I am. So, when I first was kind of looking to launch the channel and that sort of thing, and very early stages or whatever, I was excited. I was wanting to do a fantasy sort of thing where until I can, the channel grows and I get stuff sent to me, I'm going to look into laptops and recommend what I will be buying if I were you. And sort of kind of going through the stuff, do a bit of research and so on and so forth. But the more I've seen since the announcements, again, the fake frames, all that, and you can Google it just for the people that don't know. Basically, all the nonsense about those extra double frames and all that is just AI. It's just fake frames, so they're not actual performance. But anyways, then the CS, but then as it kind of got more and more into January, February, and March, things are just not looking great at all. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, right now, you should not buy a 50, gaming laptops or 50 gaming sort of PC graphics cards and that sort of thing either. If you can get hold of a 40 sort of series for your PC, good luck with that. They're pretty difficult to get hold of. But definitely with the laptops and so on as well, they're getting extinct because Nvidia are just not manufacturing them at all. They're pulling them all out. So whatever you've seen, which I'll go through later in the video with the spring cells and so on, that's it. They're no longer going to be about. But here's why I'm going to say do not buy 50 gaming laptops right now, at least. So first of all, let's go to one of my favorite YouTubers, Jared Tech. He in January did like a video at the end of January. I covered, and these are again with PC. And I'll talk about gaming laptops in a second, how that kind of relevance towards that. With a PC, well, between 4080 and 5080, the difference is just 10%, maybe just over that. Again, not really, to be fair. Even the 4090 to 5090, the difference is really not going to be that massive considering the card, to buy it. Let's just say on the normal price is going to be 500 or $500 or whatever, wherever you are, in US and that sort of thing, it's going to be more expensive. So the disparity is already a bit too much. But thing is, where it gets a lot worse is with the PC, with the power supply that comes with it, because the 50 laptops graphics card need a lot more juice, they can get it because of the power supply. But with the gaming laptops, you can't. So he's done a recent sort of check. He can't review it because it's an engineer sample and so on. But that was like 5 days ago. And Legion Pro 7i, just the demonstration, has only 175 watt, the max it can do, to the GPU, which is exactly the same as a 4090. What does that mean? That means most likely what you see here, and again, if you look at the sort of he's done earlier in terms of like the comparison, the CUDA cores are also not that much difference. That the terminology that, NVIDIA uses and so on in terms of graphics and so on. But then it's not even 1,000. So the only difference is the memory. But thing is, right now, because there's just no new gaming console, 8 gig VRAM is just too little. It's not enough. Which that's another thing with 5080 laptops and so on, and 5080 and so on. Sorry, 5070 and 5060s, where they're 8 gig, which is like What? Like, look at Inzoi. That already needs 8 gig. But I think 12 gig is absolutely fine. I think 16 gig is the sweet spot. But the reality is right now, because of the gaming consoles, in the world where we got Xbox Series X in existence and that sort of thing, you're not going to see a huge difference in quality because all the developers, they have to design it so the games run on said Xbox Series S and that sort of thing, which is just that thing is just wasn't even that great 6 years ago. But anyway, so you're talking about a tiny bit of difference, but here's the thing: that tiny bit of difference comes at a lot of monetary costs, which I'll compare to you in just a little bit, but it comes at other issues as well. So if you got a library of old games, going back 10 years ago and that sort of thing, if you buy from places like GOG and that sort of thing, when they don't get new versions of the game, well, your game is going to run like trash on 50 gaming laptops because they removing the physics support from the 50 gaming laptops. So look at it, even Borderlands 2, Batman Arkham, original Metro games, Mirror's Edge, again, we're not even talking about early 2000 games. We're literally talking about, some of the early 2010 games that are, that came out as well that could be potentially affected. So that could kill a lot of your games on your library. Again, the other elements that you're risking is a lot of the 50 gaming laptops are missing ROPs. And that relates to performance and so on and so forth. And there's loads of articles that are talking about how manufacturers are just dashing to figure out which laptops are affected. But let's just say you spend an absolute fortune, you get your new gaming laptop because now these graphics cards are short on stock as well. Then you then have to deal with the return, yada yada, and they're not going to be in stock. So you could have spent a fortune and you have to wait ages. So again, that's another insanely stupid issue that we're talking about. But then you also are talking about, as I said, with the 50, 60, and so on, the lower end of performance, some of the performances that you are going to be getting are pretty much the same as they're sort of like some of the AMD stuff. Because AMD's come up with the new integrated stuff and graphics card and so on that are performing incredibly well. So again, in terms of even value, you might as well see how that kind of goes because that could be a much, much better option. But then again, when you're even looking at the PC, there is another problem. You got literally articles and that sort of thing talking about basically gaming PCs catching fire. So you got another technical issue that's literally is affecting these sort of 50 PCs as well. So you can imagine the laptops are not even out. So, and they are running much hotter. So to just give you an example, even, even though they are given the same sort of a power, technically speaking, to the laptop, look at let me show you this giant brick. So this is a Legion 7 Pro I from last year. This is the power brick. It's 330 watt. Now they're going to be supplied with 400 watt. So look at this is a laptop. So if you wanted to move it around, imagine if this is sort of for, more of a smaller options that sort of Legion options tend to be at times. Some of the other ones, if they're going to be 400 or something like that, how big we're talking about. And that's just going to be even, affecting the sort of the mobility and the option, which is the whole point of a laptop that we sort of talking about. But there is another fundamental issues. with this. So let's just look at it right now. So going back to, let's just say the laptop, sorry, the performances that we had on 5080 and 4080. So if we go by this guide, right, the 5080 and 4080 Super, or let's just say even 4080 normal, they're roughly about the same. Just tiny bit of difference. The only difference is just the 4 gig of VRAM, which is not a lot. 12 gig is, again, is absolutely fine, in terms of the systems and that sort of thing. But let's just look at it this way. I go here right now to this Legion 7 Pro I, right? I go with 64 gig of RAM, 5080, 16-inch. Let's even look at the Razer, 18-inch. Let's go with the 5080 right now, with a 1 terabyte and just 32 gig of, RAM. 3,600, right? Let's now go to Alienware and their spring sales. Look at that, 2,469 for a 4080. Now, you say, oh, well, the VRAM and so on. Let's just switch it to 4090, 3,069. If you upgrade your RAM, for another, £130 or whatever, look at that. You still better RAM and you still saving money. But I will give you a trick with, for example, this Alienware thing. I bought my Alienware. Again, they're not sponsoring this video or anything like that. In November, same laptop. What I do is, first of all, I bought it in sale, which was similar sort of thing. Then I went to a cashback website. I'm just using this as an example. If you're getting an 8% cashback on it, so if you go through this link, 8% of 3,000, getting like £200-300 back. Let's just leave the exact math or whatever. But the point is, you could end up buying this thing pretty much for about 2,800 or whatever, because you can buy it right now, whereas everything else is pre-order. So you could potentially indirectly get it for that. And the thing is, because Dell also has these reward things, what I did was, for me, I bought the laptop first, but I wanted to buy some other stuff like headphones and, keyboards and whatnot. All I did was, you get a double the rewards or whatever from them. So let's just to give you an example, you get 7,600, 673 points. You bank that. So as soon as you buy it, that will be added onto your bank. Then go and buy your other accessories. So you saving another bit of money there, which is incredible. And realistically speaking, if you get in a 4090, which if you look at the performance, is going to be doing a lot better than the 5080, realistically, and you're saving yourself money, why not? And for the people that are saying, oh, well, you're getting the ultra, CPU and that sort of thing. Well, if you're buying that sort of laptop, you're most likely going to be playing the game in 1440p or 4K or whatever. And guess what? That doesn't really use much CPU at all. So you are going to be heavily relying on GPU. And thing is, let me show you something. This is one of the concerns that I got raised when I was seeing stuff from CS. Like, look at the Razer, one of my favorite brands. They make amazing stuff. But look at that. The point of Razer was they were razor thin. And they were supposed to sit flat, looking all nice and so on. But look at, you're getting now a bulge because apparently these sort of CPUs and so on are running much hotter. And even though it's using the same amount of juice, and even though it's supposed to be more efficient, sort of efficient CPU and that sort of thing. So, and the problem that you're going to have is if you get like this bulge, if you're fitting it on, say, a cooling pad or whatever, they need to sit exactly tight and so on. And that's just going to add another sort of a issue and that sort of thing because they could be lifted. if you got like another thing that lifts the laptop, whether it's going to stick on that, that's just another thing. But I'm just using it as an example. I don't, again, there are it's stuff like, for example, the Lenovo that's ended up like, if you look at this one, they ended up moving when Jared Tech is talking about, they ended up moving all the ports from the back, which was one of the good things, to the sides and so on, because they needed more cooling. So again, these are not, when you're given the same amount of power to a GPU, these are not very good signs at all in terms of the sort of the graphics card and everything. So honestly, there's just simply no justification for any of this, guys. So from my point of view, guys, and for what it's worth, again, I've helped my friends build a lot of different, buy a lot of laptops. I used to build PCs, help build PCs and that sort of thing. And I just genuinely don't see any reason or justification for you to go and spend money, extra money, on something that is just going to potentially cause a lot of problems. And also lose all that old library. That means you have to go and buy the new versions. So indirectly, you lose your games unless you go and buy a graphics card from 10 years ago. And the problem that you're going to have is if you sort of wait, well, 4090s and 4080s are no longer getting manufactured by Nvidia anymore. So you're not going to be able to purchase them later on either. So that's another problem. So this is your last opportunity. So for what it's worth, guys, I say buy this. And maybe if you're still not sure and so on, wait until when it comes down to the sales, whether it's the uh, back to school sort of sales, Amazon Prime Day in October and whatnot, or Black Friday and that sort of thing. Wait until then so the prices are much more reasonable and can justify, all these sort of issues and so on. So at least, that 5% difference is kind of in line with the price they can get right now. So again, I hope this video helps you. I honestly hope that it will be a completely different video, but sadly, if I was in somebody's shoes that's buying a laptop right now, definitely laptop, no. I think with PC, the performance is a little bit better, but definitely laptop, no. But guys, as I said, remember, without the new consoles coming out over the next year or two, and even if, say, the console comes out at the end of this year or whatever, we're still not going to see a lot of games taking much of effect for another year or two. So by then, you're talking about the 60 laptop, 60 graphics card coming out. But also keep an eye out on all these sort of CPUs having an onboard GPUs and that sort of thing, similar to what Apple are doing, because well, AMD are doing pretty well. In fact, if you're looking at the sort of a 50, 60, like a sort of a cheap end sort of a part of the graphics card, then probably look at the laptops with AMD, processors and sort of onboard graphics because they are doing pretty well. And again, Intel are also delving into that and that sort of thing. So we could see some major, major sort of things happening over the next couple of years. So definitely don't rush. But if you're intending to upgrade, take your time, find a good deal. Again, not just Alienware, just find other stuff. I've seen quite a few of them. But yeah, anyways, guys, if this video helps you, which I hope it does, please smash that like button. I'm going to be uploading more videos about gaming tech and so on. In fact, I'm going to be uploading some videos about streaming, about what I would look for in terms of graphics card and how I kind of works in real terms rather than all these fancy tests and so on that people do, which 90% of the time don't really apply for general average usage, and how you can look after your laptop. So I will be uploading more of those videos later down the line. So look forward to those. So please subscribe for that as well to support the channel and everything, and hopefully for those videos to come in soon. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day wherever you are, and peace.